Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Jill Biden, Dave Portnoy, Keith Oberman, Gillian Wallow. What do they all have in common? We're going to talk about it and my thoughts on everything that's transpired since the Women's National Championship, the NCAA Women's National Championship, where the LSU Bayou Bengals, the Lady Tigers, took home the ring. Let's talk about it all after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button as you come into the room, like, share, and subscribe. Now, as we know, there was a men's national championship recently. Shout out to the UConn Huskies, but they aren't the talk of the town. The talk of the town is the women's game. You know, the game that saw 10 million viewers on average, the game that peaked at over 12.5 million viewers. I don't think the men's numbers will touch what the women's did, and that's just me. Now, I don't know if there's ever been a case where the women's game just clearly was clearing away better than the men's game, both from the game on the court and the viewership ratings. I guess we'll have to wait till the men's numbers come in. Maybe they do beat the women. I don't think so, because the women's game was that much. But what I do know, even without the ratings, the talk of the men's game will be dwarfed, and it still is. The men's game happened more recently. The thing is, the women's game talk continues to be a talk because of how spectacular and how big of the personalities there were in the women's game. Angel Reese, Flau'jae, Caitlin Clark, Kim Mulkey, like everybody that was involved in the women's championship game has interesting storylines. LaDasia, like just different things. But the biggest thing that's coming from it, obviously, was the criticism that Angel Reese received for her taunting, her Tony Yayo, her John Cena, her whatever, back to Caitlin Clark as they were about to get that ring in one of the most iconic sports pictures that I think I've ever seen, with Angel Reese like this, and you see Caitlin Clark in the back, Angel Reese in the background. You see Caitlin Clark as Angel Reese is pointing to that ring finger. Super, super tough. I hope Angel gets that posted in her home. But Angel Reese's success was, didn't go over too well for a lot of people. A lot of the, the folks that don't look like us, right? Dave Portnoy had to call her a classless piece of, S word. Keith Oberman called her an effing idiot. And just real sick stuff, like real sick stuff. And I don't know if 50-year-old, 45, 50, I think Oberman may be close to 60-year-old white men should be commenting and calling her out of her name a 20-year-old black woman. A 20-year-old black woman in college. You calling her out of her name. These are 40, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus white men. That just don't look right. Especially over a game. We're talking about sports. We're talking about trash talking sports. Hoops, basketball. But the thing that stung the most, because those, some people you expect to act like idiots. Dave Portnoy is one. Keith Oberman is two. But people who hold high, they're supposed to look as allies. They're supposed to be allies, and they hold high positions. Belittling LSU. See, that's where I have a problem. And the person I'm talking about is Jill Biden. Jill Biden, the first lady of the United States, Joe Biden's wife, Dr. Jill Biden, however you want to call her. She is the first lady. She had the nerve. She had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to congratulate LSU and say, they'll do their ceremonial thing as in come into the White House. But I also want to invite Iowa to the White House. And that didn't sit right with me. That didn't sit right with a lot of people, including Angel Reese. So for those that are living under a rock, let me show you what I'm talking about. Jill Biden, hold on. Whoa, where's my tweets? Here we go. So Jill Biden, she invited LSU to. So first of all, this is the thing that people were upset about, right? This was the images that had a lot of people tight. You know what I mean? Like had a lot of people pressed over Angel Reese. Her giving, little you can't see me, but it was no problem when Caitlin Clark was doing that to my Louisville Cardinals, right? Caitlin Clark is a trash talker. Caitlin Clark gets busy on the court and she lets people know there's nothing you can do about it when she's out there getting buckets. She's like the female Steph Curry. She goes out there, pulls from anywhere. She averaged 28 a game. She's a dog. Like she's just a dog on the court. But folks, they were tight. They were feeling however they want to feel. And Jill Biden had the nerve to invite Iowa to the White House along with LSU. And of course, the star of LSU, Angel Reese, she called it what it was, a freaking joke. She called it a joke. As you read the caption, it says Jill Biden wants LSU and Iowa at the White House. So that is a joke because they've been inviting championship teams to the White House since the 1800s. I think the first team to visit the White House, I heard Shannon Sharp say it this morning on Undisputed, like Ulysses S. Grant, the president Ulysses S. Grant invited the Cincinnati Reds. They were the first pro team to visit the White House after winning a championship. Ulysses S. Grant, that's in the 1800s. But never have they ever invited the losing team, ever. And you're talking about 200 years. 200 years they've been doing this. They've never invited the losing team. But all of a sudden, Jill Biden wanted to, make an exception. Well, a lot of folks had a lot to say about this. And this didn't go over well with the supporters of Joe Biden. This didn't go over well with sports fans. This kind of goes into that whole participation trophy thing. And this is coming from Phil Lewis. I love Phil Lewis on Twitter. He updates on everything. And this is what he had. He took a quote from the press secretary because they had to pivot real quick. It says press secretary for Jill Biden on her comments inviting Iowa's women's basketball team. Quote, her comments in Colorado were intended to applaud the historic game and all the women athletes. She looks forward to celebrating the LSU Tigers on their championship win at the White House. I bet she does. And I had to put it right here. I was like, yo, yeah, she saw that PR nightmare, which it was. There's nothing, if you type in Jill Biden on Twitter right now, there's nothing good coming from that. And they had to pivot. It was like she thought she was cooking with that one. And it was like, ooh, that didn't go over well. Let me pivot real quick. Even Joe came out and said, congratulations to LSU. We look forward to seeing you. And part of some of that pivot comes from some of the LSU players hitting up Barack. Like, yo, Obama, what's up with y'all? Because we ain't rocking with that. I think one of the players, Alexis Miller from LSU, tweeted at Michelle Obama. She said, Miss Obama, can we pull up to y'all crib instead? And Angel Reese, once again, the biggest star from this game, said, we ain't going. She put it out there on social media that, hey, we are not, if it's all of that, talking about inviting both teams, well, guess what? We just won't show up. How about y'all just have Iowa? Because we ain't going out like that. We not like this was a tweet put out by Angel Reese. This was a comment that she put out under. So the Shade Room posted that Jill Biden invited both teams, and Angel Reese let it be known, we not coming. If it's all of that, if it's where y'all inviting the second place teams, we are not coming. Because guess what? LSU knows if they would have lost, Jill Biden wouldn't have been extending no invite to the losers. Joe Biden wouldn't have been extending no invite to LSU if they would have lost. So, and here's the thing. Here's the thing about some of these goofies out here, whether it's Dave Portnoy, Keith Olbermann, or even in this case, Joe Biden. See, what they're doing is they think that they're helping Caitlin Clark, helping Iowa. And really all they're doing is the opposite. See, in America, in sports, most sports stars, more in almost across the board, but especially basketball and football, the biggest stars in the game, whether it's men or women or whatever, are Black people. They're us. They're the Angel Reeses, you know what I mean? In the NBA, LeBron, Steph, all of them, Giannis, whatever. And so when they have a white star, particularly in basketball, they want to prop them up. And even more specific, a white American star. See, a lot of the white, there are some white hoopers, like some dudes that are just straight buckets. Luka Doncic is a bucket, but he's European. You know what I mean? Like some of the in the NBA. And then in the women's game, you have white American stars, but they're older. Diana Taurasi, she's old. She's almost 40. Sue Bird just did 20 years in the WNBA, and she's retired. And so there's not many to prop up. The biggest, Breanna Stewart is one too. Breanna Stewart's a bucket. She's a hooper. But Breanna Stewart is not entertaining. She has no, I mean, not to say she has no personality, but, you know, like, when you just think of Breanna Stewart, you just think of really good basketball player. She just goes out and dominates. Caitlin Clark has a lot of spice to her. You know what I mean? She's spicy. She's out there. She's, like I said, doing a yayo. You feel me? She's waving folks off at the three-point line. Like, she's spicy, and that's good for the game. That is good for the game. But when you do that, you have to be able to take it into Caitlin's benefit. And the where I want to shout out Caitlin Clark is that she's taking it. Caitlin Clark hasn't said anything about any of this. She took her loss. She took her loss and took it on the chin and was like, hey, the better team won. We want to come back next year, and we want to be the ones cutting down the net. Not watching LSU, South Carolina, whoever. We want to be the ones to do that. But what these goofies don't understand that is they're putting an unnecessary target and making Caitlin Clark a villain to a certain demographic of the country when she doesn't have to be. She doesn't have to be. Like, we can love Caitlin Clark. We might love Angel Reese a little more. You know what I mean? We might love the sisters a little more, but we can love Caitlin Clark too because she is a fierce competitor. She is a bucket. She is like really, really good at the game of basketball. And she probably is a good girl. She probably is a good person. But people are making her a villain by the way that they're vilifying other folks, the way they're vilifying Angel Reese, the way they're vilifying LSU, the way they're vilifying and trying to soften the blow on Caitlin Clark in Iowa. No, y'all are doing her a disservice. If you're attacking Angel Reese, LSU, or whatever, or doing this goofy stuff like Jill Biden, you are diminishing what the greatness of Caitlin Clark. Because right now we're talking about this and not talking about how great of a run she just had and how great the women's game is going to be next year. Like, think about all the hoopers that are. This is why the women's national championship game, I think, is going to dwarf. I think it might double the men's game. It definitely is going to do more. I think. I could be totally wrong. I think the women's game at 12.5 million is going to dwarf whatever the peak of the men's game was. Because nobody really watched that for real. Shout out to UConn. That's no disrespect to UConn. But the women's game has stars. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese coming back, Haley Van Lith, AZ Fudd, Paige Buckers. Like, there are stars on the women's game. Now, South Carolina is the only team losing a bunch of stars. Aaliyah Boston and Bria Beal and Zaya Cook, they're all gone. But they got somebody we just don't know about yet. So it's South Carolina. It's Don Staley. Their coach is a star. So you're diminishing the fact that we have this great growing game that is women's basketball, women's college basketball specifically, that has growing stars, like real star power, by trying to be an idiot. By being an idiot, you're diminishing the greatness that's actually taking place. Like, we're watching a renaissance of women's college hoops. And big reason for that is that there's stars in the game and there's parity. You know, for a long time, the reason why women's game couldn't really grow is because UConn was winning the championship every year. And then if it wasn't them, it was Tennessee. And then it looked like it was about to be South Carolina, but South Carolina got beat. And South Carolina has only won 2 championships in 2017. Now, that's a lot in most cases, but when they were the prohibitive favorite, they got upset. And they got upset by Caitlin Clark, a star in the game, the best player in the game to a lot of people. I still think Paige Buckers is better, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the debate. And so that is why you're doing her a disservice by making these comparisons and by attacking Angel Reese. Applaud to the queen that is Angel Reese, by the way. Continue to be you. You are what this game needs, meaning you are the personality that a sport like women's basketball needs. Because it's one thing to be a star, like I said, like Breanna Stewart, but if you have no personality, it's hard to help the game grow. Not to say Breanna doesn't have any personality, but she's not really in the limelight. And think about why people attack Angel Reese. Why do people attack Angel Reese? It's because she's unapologetically her. First of all, she's a big girl. She's 6'3". Like, she's an intimidating woman. Most of these men, especially these goofy men that are attacking Angel Reese, she could probably whoop them. Like, she could probably smack them around because she's 6'3". She wears lashes. She has a lace front cut to the gods. She had beat face. You know what I'm saying? And she talks trash. She goes out there, averages 23 and 15. So she's no soup sandwich. She's a real bucket. She's a real problem on the court. 23 and 15 is nothing to sneeze at. 23 and 15. She goes out there. She 30, I think of 35 and 3, 35 and 2, won a national championship. And she's the Bayou Barbie. She's got the best nickname in sports right now. The Bayou Barbie, sick. That is sick. She's capitalizing on NIL. She's got 1 million followers on Instagram. Her NIL evaluation just went through the roof. And she's the perfect spokesperson. She's the perfect, face of college basketball, men or women. She's perfect. And she's built for this. She's built for the criticism. You could tell. Listen to the way she talks. She's built for any and every dagger, blow, whatever that comes her way. Shout out to the Bayou Barbie, man. She is awesome. I can't wait to continue to, because she's only a sophomore. So she's got at least 2 more years to do this thing. And I want to talk about Gilly and Wallow because I mentioned them. So they are in partners with Barstool. And so Dave Portnoy, who was the founder of Barstool, and I think he's still a president, put out a thing. Like I said, he called her an effing idiot or classless piece of S word, whatever. And then they came out and, they put out this little video, whatever. And shout out to, Wallow was the one really talking. What I find interesting, though, what I find super interesting is that any other topic, Gilly is loud and proud and front and center. It's real quiet on this. He's really the only few comments he had. We still F with you, Dave. We love you, bro. What? And that's not to say you shouldn't still mess with him or love him or whatever. But come on, bro. There's a time and a place for everything. You letting Wallow do all the talking. You typically real loud and real proud. Have the same energy towards Dave Portnoy when he's talking about a 20-year-old young lady. This is a 20-year-old. Angel Reese is 20 years old, dude. Dave Portnoy is old enough to be her damn daddy. Come on, bro. This is basketball, dog. So shout out to Angel Reese, man. Shout out to LSU women's basketball winning the championship. And shout out to everybody that came to their defense. Because, man, we really know what's going on. We know what Iowa looked like. We know what LSU looked like. And like I said, it's unfair to Iowa and the great season that they've had and the great year that Caitlin Clark had, the fact that we have to do this color thing. Because they're not the ones who did it. The Dave Portnoys, the Keith Olbermans, the Jill Bidens, they did a disservice to Iowa. Not Iowa. Iowa just went out there and played hard and made it to the national championship game. Those folks did a disservice to Iowa. And that's what's unfair. They did a disservice to Caitlin Clark. They diminished what she did this year by trying to do all that goofy stuff towards Angel Reese and LSU. And it made us have to come and have to defend her. And rightfully we should. But that's no ill will towards Iowa. I hope they run it back. Just like I know LSU's coming back. Bigger, stronger, better than ever. 9 transfers. And what year put it together? What a championship. Iowa, the player of the year, coming back. Paige Buckers, the player of the year freshman year, coming back. Hopefully healthy. You got Haley Van Lith over at Louisville. They just got a Cal transfer. Women's basketball is on the rise, a meteoric rise, and I love to see it. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Did they do Iowa disservice? I say yes. And shout out to the Bayou Barbie for continuing to stand 10 toes down against all the goofiness that has been aimed towards her. And she's taking it in stride and keeps going up. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your content. Do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, and subscribe before you get out of here. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That's Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.